At first glance, dropping trees into a stream does not seem like a good idea. But for several years, the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department and Trout Unlimited have been mimicking a natural process by strategically adding wood to degraded streams, in the process restoring habitat for trout and other wildlife.
Good shot.
Joe Norton is the project manager for Trout Unlimited's Upper Connecticut Home Rivers Initiative.
One of the common methods of adding wood to the streams was chop and drop. We refer to it now as strategic wood additions. We're walking down the stream, we're looking at stream function, we're looking at places we can add wood that are going to create pools, create cover, create habitat, and then we're looking in the forest for spots where we can wedge the wood in, the trees into the forest and make it more stable.
During the early years of the program, chainsaws were used to drop trees into place. With the addition of a grip hoist, trees can now be deposited exactly where needed.
We want it to stay in place so that it provides cover for fish and also helps the river to reform a more natural geomorphology or a stream shape and function.
Beginning in the 1800s, the logging industry transformed many streams in the Upper Connecticut River Valley into more or less straight chutes to carry logs to downstream lumber mills. By straightening streams and removing down trees and other obstructions, the logging industry greatly impaired the habitat for trout and other wildlife. But by adding woody debris back into these streams, this project will hopefully start repairing decades of damage.
Oh, there's a trout. Nice one. We've got 12 pairs of treatment sites where we've added wood to sections of stream, and we've got 12 pairs of control sites where we did not add wood. And so we've been able to electrofish those sites. So we have 2 years of data from before we added wood, and at this point now we have 2 years of data after we've added wood. And so far, things are looking very good. We are seeing an overall increase in the numbers and size of brook trout.
Gorgeous male.
Yeah, it is a nice looking fish.
A good example of the benefits of adding wood to streams can be found on the east branch of the Nullhegan River. It is one of several sites located on land owned by the Plum Creek Timber Company, another partner in the Chop and Drop program.
This is one of our sites where we added wood, and we were pleasantly surprised with the numbers and size of brook trout that we found. We found probably at least 3-year classes. The youngest guys were what we call young of the year. And then we've got these guys that are probably the next size up. They've had probably about 2 summers out here. And then we've got some nice sized adults that are around 8 inches, which is really what we want to see. As we expected, these fish were coming out of the wood. It's a good place for them to hide from predators, have a place where they can kind of rest in a little bit slower water and wait for food to come by in the faster current. So that's really what we're trying to create here, and not just places for them to hang out, but places for them to survive longer so that we end up with more brook trout out here.
NRCS has worked with Chin Mountain probably for the last 5 years on wood additions and streams on private property.
We've done about 10 miles in the last 5 years of streams, and that is really just a small amount in what could be done. But although it was really for brook trout habitat originally, we're finding out that its probably greatest benefit is in water quality. Recently we did a treatment on a stream that was always muddy, and we almost thought that maybe it wasn't a very good habitat for fish or any aquatic organisms at all. Normally after a storm, the stream would basically be running coffee colored with all kinds of sediment transporting down. The day after he finished the job, we had a 3-inch rainstorm and all the water was running clear. So I think that this is really an important practice to be using in our drinking water partnership program that we're working on right now.
As these wood jams and piles absorb energy from the water rushing down the stream, it pushes them out and reactivates floodplains, which is great for a lot of ecological reasons. And these floodplains that have not had water on them in quite some time. This whole project really got started when we at Tin Mountain did a program on eastern brook trout, stocking of brook trout. And Nels Liljedal from NRCS was there, as well as Deb, and they started talking more about what can we do rather than stock streams all the time. What can we do for the native brook trout populations? And it was that germ of an idea that really kind of mushroomed into this effort. Landowners contact NRCS for management plans, wildlife management plans, or forest management plans, and we're able to work with them and allow them the opportunity to treat streams that they might have on their property. So that's been a really positive thing, and we're looking forward to treating more streams in the future.
This part of the world has always been a major stronghold for native brook trout populations. Historically, when we had the pristine forests, the trees would fall into the stream and create dams, and so there was always dams and riffles and dams and riffles, which provided excellent habitat for the brook trout. Organic matter that was accumulating provides food for macroinvertebrates, which the brook trout eat, and also provides a lot of hiding places. Mink is the #1 predator of brook trout, and without a lot of hiding places, the mink get the better part of the deal, and they eat a lot of the brook trout. And it also creates deeper pools, which can maintain water throughout a very cold winter. If you don't have a lot of deep pools, these streams are going to freeze totally over and won't have the water or the space or the habitat for the trout to survive. In terms of providing better habitat for organisms is a better way to go than stocking and taking them away, no matter what we're talking about.
When we do management plans through NRCS, as a forester, I can go talk to a landowner and explain to them in simpler terms why it's important that we're doing certain things that they might not necessarily see right off. We're standing in an area here that it was looked at as an opportunity to convert a stand of sort of an underrepresented composition, species composition of trees, and it was heading in one direction, and with a little timber stand improvement work with NRCS, we're on our way now to converting the stand to more desirable species with higher timber quality, yellow birch, sugar maple, and red oak where it was present. The yellow birch and the sugar maples, which are not only good high-value timber species, but they also produce conditions for wildlife, interior forest habitat that we're looking for. But our studies are looking to see what effect immediately after the harvest do we see, and then how many years after the harvest does it take for these interior forest birds to come back and say, oh yes, this is more like what I remember, this is what I need to nest in.
We've learned a lot in the last 5 years through a lot of the data that Tin Mountain has collected. Some of the very small streams that we would have discounted earlier as not being good habitat for trout, we were totally wrong about. After doing electrofishing before and after the treatments, we found that there was some of these smaller streams had the largest number of fish in them. So it was very surprising and opened up a lot of the doors for just trying to treat as many streams as we can here.